What a headshot! What a head!
How's it guys, this is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I'll be taking you guys through the best value goalkeepers in the game. So we've gone over the underpriced options, gone over the overpriced options, gone over the best value defenders, midfielders, and forwards, and now it's time for the position between the sticks. Now if you guys have watched my latest updated draft, you know who I'm currently favouring as my 4.5 goalkeeper. Comment down below who's your current goalkeeper. Is it Onana at 5.0 million from Manchester United, or are you like myself going for a 4.5? This video hopes to give you guys some clarity on who's the best value options in the game in the best value position, which is going to be the goalkeepers. Now next week I'll be creating my kind of best goalkeeper video, going over more in-depth stats such as saves per 90 minutes, that sort of thing. But if we were to take pure kind of points and prices, who's the best value goalkeeper in the game? Now don't worry, I'll be going over all that good stuff in this video, so sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. Now before we get on to the actual video, I want to give you guys some details and understanding about how I created this and what value actually means. So in terms of the data I used, it's been the points from last season and the prices from this season in a formula which is points divided by prices. So that gives you the value metric, or another kind of description, points per million spent. Now I didn't cover every single goalkeeper, obviously if they were just signed like an Onana they won't be in this video, but I'll try and include them in the upcoming videos where I choose the best goalkeepers. So my filter for this video was going to be they had to have 60 or more points. Now luckily we have seen this in the underpriced and the overpriced goalkeepers, that the majority of goalkeepers actually were covered in this video. So the 60 point metric was arrived as basically these options have to play 30 games, get no clean sheets and only 2 appearance points, which is pretty easy but means they're nailed. On the other hand, if they got 1 or 2 clean sheets, maybe some save points, that'll probably take them over the 60 point mark even if they only played half the season. But you guys will see that as you go through the players, but I'll also point it out. Now if you guys have any questions about this or kind of just FPL in general, drop them in the comments down below. I try to reply to every comment or comment on my Discord server, link in the description as well. But now let's go over the actual goalkeepers and their value metrics on screen right now. You guys can see that I've covered the majority of goalkeepers in the FPL game. Now on the top right hand side, I always like to start at the top right because everyone's eyes kind of gravitate there. That's going to be the best player in the game or the best value goalkeeper. It's going to be Raya from Brentford. Now you guys know the current situation with Raya is a little bit up in the air. It seems like he's on the bench for their preseason games. Is he actually still going to stay at the club? I don't know at the current moment, but if he does, he's a great asset at 5.0 million. So yes, even though he is more expensive than a kind of 4.5, he got massive points last season and is the best value goalkeeper in the FPL game. So a big wait and see for me because it seems like he was going to be on the way out, but the transfer hasn't gone through. But if he does leave the club, his replacement Flecken could be absolute gold. The reason for that is he does come in 0.5 cheaper, so a 4.5 goalkeeper definitely on my mind. So that's kind of the big insight to take, and we've seen that in the underpriced options as well, is if Raya does leave the club, Flecken, if he can perform just as well, is the goalkeeper to go for. Slightly down the list is going to be Leno, our 4.5 goalkeeper in terms of value, but I personally don't know if Fulham are going to have as good a season as they did last season. But if you guys are going for Leno, comment down below, but I've seen him in basically no drafts, so he could be underrated. Now it's quite interesting for me to see Alisson so high up here, not really seen many people going for kind of a Liverpool defender. If you're not going for Trent, probably not going for anyone, but is Alisson a nice selection at the more expensive price point? So he does come in cheaper than someone like a Van Dijk, a Robertson, a Trent, but obviously doesn't offer that attacking threat, but still good value for money on this metric. We then have Ramsdale, who's a popular selection if you guys don't want to go for a Gabriel. If you want to double up in the Arsenal defense, Ramsdale offers good value for money at 5.0 million. Now here's when Pickford comes in, and he did actually have a pretty good season last season, but in terms of value at 4.5, I don't exactly know if he's the best goalkeeper to choose. But if you guys are going to go purely on value, if you don't want to go for Leno, the next 4.5 of choice is going to be Fabianski or Pickford. Now you guys will see shortly why I actually don't want to go for Pickford. It's just the fact that the majority of other 4.5s are rotated. Pickford played every single game for Everton, and that's why you guys see him here. If you go down the list, we've got Martinez, Kepa, won't probably go for him as a Chelsea goalkeeper. We've got Edison, my favorite 5.5. You guys know how I love Edison after last season. Then we go into a couple of 4.5s. Now I'll be talking about these 4.5s a bit later on, as I got a whole section dedicated to them. The one thing I want you guys to note though is if you look at someone like a Robert Sanchez and also a Steele at the bottom of the radar there, the reason these two options are so low in terms of the value is that they were rotated goalkeepers. Sanchez started the season, Steele ended the season, but they're still going to be here because they got more than 60 points. Now if you were to combine their two kind of value metrics, you'll see they provide a good value for money at 4.5. Another player for example is going to be Guaita, and Henderson didn't play the majority of games last season. Johnston, you guys know, replaced Guaita, whereas Henderson got injured unfortunately. So just keep that in mind, but as I said, I'll be going over them in the next talking points as I've got a whole section dedicated to them. Now the next graph we're going to look at might be slightly more useful. This is where the kind of cheap goalkeepers really take their shape. It's going to be the value per 90 minutes. So what I did was I took the minutes played by these options, divided by 90 minutes. So yes, kind of an assumption of games played, but still good enough for this video. So if you do take the value per 90 minutes, you guys will see that there's an emergence of these cheaper goalkeepers. You've got Henderson at the top. We've also got Steele from Brighton, and these two are my favorites. So currently I've gone for Steele in that Brighton defense. Yes, I know that there might be some rotation, but throughout preseason, I'll just go for whoever kind of ends it. So hopefully we do get some clarity on who's going to be between the sticks for Brighton, and De Zerbi doesn't rotate, as that'll be quite annoying. But other than that though, if you guys do see that Henderson returns to Nottingham Forest, is still back at United at the current moment, but with Onana signing, I expect him to leave the club. So if he does return to Nottingham Forest, he's a 4.5, that's great value for money. But just remember, had a ton of penalty saves at the start of last season. So that might have increased his score by quite a bit, and that's why I do like Steele, as he played a few more games. Other than that though, we've got Ray here yet again showing that even though he was the best value goalkeeper per 90 minutes, he's still one of the best goalkeepers, and that's why he's so integral to that Brentford defense. So yes, if Raya even stays at Brentford, I might even go for him because he's such good value for money. As we go down the list, we've got some more expensive goalkeepers. Alisson kind of mid-table. Kepa though showing some good results in terms of per 90 stats. Another player I want to give a shout out to is going to be the bottom of your screen. It's going to be Edison. Quite a far margin between Lloris and Edison, which just shows you how bad of an option he was last season, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's a bad option this season. I think that most FPL managers will probably avoid him, which I would agree with, but could he actually be a good pick? Now the last talking point I want to go over is kind of honing in on this 4.5 bracket. As mentioned, probably the most kind of popular bracket. Maybe Onana's kind of swayed it to the 5.0s, but I personally love shopping in this 4.5 goalkeeper department. Now the one pick I want to highlight here is going to be Pickford. Yes, Everton kind of changed managers last season, had a relegation battle season, but they did the previous season as well. So who's to say they're going to have a better season this season? So the reason I want to highlight this is I've seen a lot of people pick Pickford in their drafts. I can't really understand it. His points per 90 minutes aren't too great. The only reason that he's selected is because he played basically every game. Now yes, that's a great selection to go for. Yes, Everton might be better defensively, but I personally prefer going with other goalkeepers. If it's going to be Henderson, that's fine. Steele, that's 100% if he's going to win the spot. Otherwise, whatever Brighton goalkeeper wins it. Even like the Crystal Palace goalkeepers, we got Guaitia as Johnson, didn't get 60 points. But if you like the Crystal Palace defense, I think Johnson's a better selection than Pickford. But you guys know my selection is going to be the Brighton goalkeeper. So if it's Steele, if it's going to be the new goalkeeper, so be it. But I really like them in terms of their per 90 stats. So comment down below, who's your goalkeeper of choice? Are you actually going for a rotation pair? I usually just go for one kind of goalkeeper for the entire season, at least until wildcard, which I think is more popular. So comment your goalkeeper down in the comments below and let's see if they're good value or not. Now I'll be going over the best goalkeepers next week, so make sure those bonifications are turned on, as that's not a video that you want to miss. But this is basically going to wrap up this video for now. If you guys enjoyed it, please make sure to like it and subscribe, especially if you guys are new. Otherwise, as mentioned, follow me on Twitter or my Discord server, both those links on the description below. But I'm going to sign off. This has been Dayvy FPL and I'm out. Cheers, bye.